wrapping up Apple's Wonderlust event. This is MacVoices. Today's MacVoices is supported by MacVoices After Dark. What happens before the show starts and after we sign off? Informative, fun, and completely off-script conversations. That's what. MacVoices After Dark is an exclusive benefit for our Patreon subscribers. Sign up now at patreon.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, the MacVoices Live panel wraps up its discussion of Apple's Wanderlust event. These are our final conclusions. Until next time, let's go back and let the panel do the talking.
To me, this was exactly the upgrade I was looking for, and I think it is quietly one of the best iPhone upgrades for the 12 Pro or the 12 Pro, 15 Pro Max in quite a while. Number one, especially if you're doing 3D work, especially this kind of 3D work, having hardware ray tracing is a huge leap. The other thing with this, with that USB-C port, the amount of accessories that the iPhone 15 Pro and all the iPhone 15s can use is relatively massive. The USB 3 port on the Pros can drive up to a 4K display, which could be big with further software upgrades. There are known Android accessories who have already announced, hey, we're going to put out a firmware upgrade so you can use that with your iPhone. Everybody is with the USB-C port, everybody's thinking it would be another Lightning, but there is just such a huge ecosystem out there. Yep. And then you have the 5X zoom, which for me, that sells the phone.
Okay. Patrice?
Apple hasn't said anything about MFI. Do we know that you can connect any device to USB-C? USB-C is just a port. Like they can do MFI over USB-C. They haven't said anything about that. So yeah, you can charge it and you can connect things through USB-C, but it doesn't mean that some random Android thing is going to work at all.
Jeff, you had some thoughts on the size issues.
Yes, for people that are looking at a 6.1-inch iPhone upgrade, it suddenly is a lot harder, I think, to choose the 15 Pro, because the standard 15 is basically an iPhone 14 Pro with two cameras instead of three. It's essentially that phone. And then you have the 15 Pro, but you don't get the real benefits until you go to the Pro Max, because that's where there's enough space inside the phone so that you can have the triple prism or whatever they're calling it thing.
Make me buy a bigger phone, Jeff.
I know.
You've heard me talk about pockets. I have one pair of pants that the phone fits in now.
Let's not do the pocket thing again.
I don't need that much phone.
Exactly. Yes. So then why get a 15 Pro? Because you're not going to get the real benefits of the Pro model.
I'm not.
In the smaller phone.
You get the high-speed USB.
Yeah, for most people, that's not going to matter.
I get USB-C. I'm one of the people it matters to. I get USB-C. I get everything that the 13 and the 14 had because I'm on a 12 Pro.
Mm-hmm.
And I get the zoom is 3x and not 5, I think is the difference between the Pro and the Pro Max camera. I was looking at the comparison page earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And more battery, but there's always more battery in the bigger phone. I get it. But otherwise, I don't need more phone, do I? I don't.
Unless
I don't need more phone.
Yeah, unless you need, that you need the faster USB-C speed, and you know that you need the 5x zoom, then for most people, why would you look at the 12 or 15 Pro versus the 15? To me, it's now sitting in an awkward place where that phone last year was much easier to justify than it is this year.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Yeah.
Or why get a new phone at all?
It's got
if
the
you're
newer,
happy with the one that you already have.
Processor.
Yeah, for most people, that's not going to matter because, I'm still rocking an iPhone 12 Pro, and I do not hurt this processor. It never cries at me. So why would the processor in the 15 Pro matter that much to me over what's in the standard 15?
Well, why do you think it's less compelling than the 14 Pro was? What was so compelling about the 14 Pro?
The 14 Pro, well, it was a very compelling phone, and now you can get it as the 15.
That's true.
Wow.
But the delta, what was the delta from the 14 to the 14 Pro that was so compelling? Where you're saying the delta between the 15 and the 15 Pro.
I don't think that's what he's saying.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the feature differentiation between the 15 Pro and the 15 Pro Max. When you compare that to the 15, it's suddenly a lot harder to justify a 15 Pro over a 15, but it's much easier to justify a 15 Pro Max over a 15.
Yeah. To basically sum up what Jeff is saying, the 15 and 15 Plus are really good. The 15 Pro Max is really good, but the 15 Pro is just rather good.
Yeah. Is the issue here, Jeff, that I think you're trying to make is we're using the names. I think it's the 6.1 inch screen between the standard Pro and then the Pro Max. And I think that's the point that you're trying to make. What's the compelling difference between going to the 6.1 inch screen on the regular 15 versus the Pro Max 15? I think that's the point you're trying to make.
That's what it's coming down to. My feeling is right now, if you're looking at an iPhone 15 or an iPhone 15 Pro, on the 15 for the 15 Pro side, the choice is much easier for the Max.
Yeah, but
killing me.
Maybe that's on purpose. Maybe Apple wants you to upgrade to the bigger, more expensive phone.
Of course they do.
Of course they do.
Yeah,
sure.
Of course,
it's just there to anchor you to something and say, well, but this is better. So
it's a money thing.
When they start,
I bought a 14. I bought a 14 Pro Max last year, so I clearly, found it compelling last year. I don't see why it's differentially. I would still find it compelling now, but a lot of people bought 14 Pros, so they didn't. So I'm not sure I see why that situation is any different this year than last year. That's what I'm not understanding.
This is about the 15 versus 15 Pro in the 6.1 inch size.
Right.
Okay. If you're looking at the 16.1 inch size, it's difficult to justify the Pro model over the not Pro model this year.
But I think didn't a lot of people say that last year? I think I heard a lot of people say that last year, and then they came back a few months later and like, oh gosh, everybody wanted to buy Pros for some reason, and the non-Pros didn't sell well. So it seems to me like the pundits were saying exactly what you were saying last year, that gee, Apple didn't make the Pro very compelling. But that's not, that didn't play out in the sales.
Well, the people that write for tech journalists don't always dictate what the market is going to do.
Absolutely.
So a lot of people, for reasons, wanted a Pro as compared to the standard, and their reasoning was, it went into the face of the tech pundits and what the tech pundits were saying. It didn't really matter. So they're the ones that will decide what the market will bear, not the journalists.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Right.
And
another thing, Jim, for me, this is the first year I've looked at the phones since the Pro lines came out, and it wasn't an obvious choice for me. And I find that to be very interesting.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just wanting to understand, the items of what's different about the difference than was last year. How is the difference less than the difference was last year?
Maybe it's because this is the year that I can look at the phones and say, okay, maybe this is the right year to upgrade from a 12 Pro. And when I look at the features, last year when I looked at the features, I thought, okay, it's obvious to me if I'm going to upgrade, which I knew I wasn't. But if I were to upgrade, I would just get the Pro because the camera features were so much better that it made sense. But this year, looking at it, it's not as clear a choice to me. I'm finding that, at least for me, to be very interesting that now we have a Pro model iPhone that for me isn't distinct enough to be an easy purchase decision compared to a non-Pro model.
But Jeff, if you want the Pro power, then the other differentiating factor is the obvious one, the size difference. Mm-hmm. And so maybe a phone, and Kelly will jump up and down on this. Maybe the size of the phone is the differentiating factor. And
no, he's talking about he's talking about two phones that are the same size.
Right. Well,
yes, but Chuck's point still stands because the differentiating point is outside of the screen size.
Right. And doesn't for some people that is the difference.
Still have only two lenses?
Yes.
So that's that's a pretty big difference.
So you're sacrificing the macro lens.
No, it's a ultra wide lens.
Right? there's no macro on the 15.
Then it's the zoom. Aren't the three lenses regular zoom and telephoto?
I'm not sure how the lenses.
Regular zoom and ultra wide. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
I think that's what the three lenses are.
Okay, well, regardless, the 15 does not have a macro feature.
Okay, on the page it says the Pro and the Pro Max have the Pro camera system, 48 megapixel main, ultra wide, and the little thing, ultra wide, and then the thing, and then telephoto. Both the Pro and the Pro Max say that. The Plus says advanced dual camera system, 48 megapixel main, ultra wide. So there's no telephoto lens. That's what the third one is apparently is the telephoto lens.
Okay, so the telephoto lens is also where you're getting the macro feature.
I don't know, but I use telephoto a lot more than I use the macro.
So, at the end of the day, each one of these phones hits a certain price point and they hit a certain feature set. I mean, let's see, which one was it? What year was it that you had to get the Pro Max to get the, I guess it was the
Stabilization.
the 3X.
It was
it
stabilization, I think.
Or was it I thought it was a zoom. Excuse me, the 3X telephoto. There was one year that the smaller size and the larger size were had feature parity.
Right.
Except for the battery size and the screen size, of course.
I think that was last year.
Was it last? I don't know, Mark, but
I think
one year there was that, and I went with, and I the reason I think it may have been the year before, Mark, was I went with the smaller size, but then I had to go back to the large because I really did like carrying the smaller size a little better, but I went back to the larger size because that was the top end of the feature set, that had a photography feature, and I think it was zoom, but I'm not sure, that I couldn't get in any of the lower phones.
I think that was when they introduced the second camera.
Maybe so.
I remember that. I remember that. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that was iPhone 12. So that may, that may be like 2020, that may be 3 years ago. They did that, because I remember, Chuck, on these iPhone intro events, comment you've made, over the past several years has been about, Apple regularizing their feature set compatibilities so that within a class they're basically equivalent, except you get more memory or more of this or more of that. You don't get different feature sets. So I think that's why I was thinking it was last year that they had the same feature set in the camera, but different storage and maybe different zooming capabilities on the lens.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, but I believe it was Patrice that said it. Maybe there is not supposed to be that much of a differentiating feature, so that maybe that's sort of the anchor, and they want to pull you up to the 15 Pro Max. And I mean, we've seen that plenty of times with low-end models on the Max, that you look at it and think, well, it's only this much more, and look how much more I get. So if the low end reels you in, and then the top end hooks you. Why am I using fishing analogies? I have no idea. And Ben's reeling me in. Thanks. Thanks, Ben. We're a little bit over time, guys, but I felt like we wanted to let this discussion go. Any final points on the iPhone? Because this is the big one. I think that everybody's got to make decisions on, but it just seems like we have an embarrassment of riches here to pick from. I don't think there's a bad phone out there, bad iPhone 15. It's just
I have
which
a last
one
point.
suits you. Yeah, Patrice.
Titanium. Have we talked about it other than about the weight? I mean, it's a completely different material.
Yeah.
It's like it like they managed to make it thinner, like the frame thinner, so the display is like the phone is actually a little bit smaller because
the thinnest, lightest
screen
iPhone
size.
ever.
Exactly. Like that makes a big, and that is a big difference between the 15 and the 15 Pro.
Yes.
Yeah.
But do we have to hold it right? Are we interfering with the antennas like we did Titanium a few years ago?
One thing
no antenna gate.
Remember the Titanium MacBook, which I still have one.
Yes.
And
I still have one too.
But didn't it turn out that dented easily, or there was some wear problem with that? So hopefully this will not.
I thought they put a
that
coating on the titanium, and the coating was wearing off.
Yeah. So hopefully that is not gonna. That's one thing when they said titanium, I'm like, wasn't there's a reason why they stopped doing titanium after one model. But that was a long time ago. Hopefully metal, and that was over 20 years ago, I think. So
Jim, I have a question for you. Can you channel Johnny Ivy pronouncing what we say titanium? Because we say aluminum and he says aluminium. How would John Ivy say, titanium?
Well, he was
Titanium.
there at the time, so we could probably go back and find him saying that. Maybe. I mean, he didn't have much of a public presence, but I have seen other English speakers say aluminium the way he says it. So
it's not just Ivy. It's not just Ivy.
It's not just
all
him.
The Brits I know say it the same way.
So we could probably find somebody British to say titanium and see what they say.
They just say titanium.
Titanium.
It's the same. Something. No, it's the same.
Titanium.
Am I misremembering? Am I misremembering this though? But regarding the titanium, isn't it? I wrote down in my notes, grade 5 titanium. Isn't it a titanium alloy?
Yeah,
that's
an alloy.
Always
yes.
Yes. So it was not just straight titanium, and so that I guess that alleviated my concerns over the titanium MacBook Pro. That this is yet another alloy and probably a better alloy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Apple is so much better. I mean, they created their own gold. They've created their own aluminum, aluminium, whatever you want to call it. Like they're very, very good.
I mean, I don't think pure metals are used for much of anything. Everything's an alloy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So a couple of days ago, I sent a note to our our Slack. MV Live chat channel, and I was surprised today. I think I only heard the word magical once, and only Apple was once out of the mouth of Tim Cook. So they're mixing things up, but they still are very rich on adjectives in describing the uniqueness and benefits and extraordinariness of their products.
I'm sorry. What was that last word?
Extraordinariness.
Oh,
okay. Word now. I know that.
Okay.
Okay. Is there some marketing people that don't use adjectives?
Only the stupid fucks who use adverbs.
The one last thing on the titanium, I really want something that was used in the Mars rover in my pocket.
There you go.
Just stay away from icebergs.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't understand that.
That's just good advice in general.
I want something that was actually used in the Mars rover and brought back to Earth.
And you can pay for it, Jim. The delivery charge will kill you. Hey, let's go around the room and let folks know where they can find you, and then we're going to wrap this up. And I'm going to reverse it and start at the bottom of my screen, and that means Guy Serle gets to go first.
Yay! You can find me over on the mymac.com podcast, which I've been doing every single week, just about every single week since 2009 with Gaz. And we're coming up on 950 episodes pretty soon.
Goodness.
So, yay. You can send me an email, guy@mymac.com, and I can be found over on the X, Twitter, whatever, as either MacParrot or VertShark, as well as MacParrot over at mastodon.social and countersocial. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Ben Roethig, next time show up in a t-shirt.
Please.
Tuxedo it is.
Where can we connect with you, Ben?
Then he'll go to
Chuck, you can find me at Ben Roethig on the plethora of social media platforms these days. You can find me on roethig.tech, where I will be writing a new article tonight that should be out by tomorrow morning. You can find me on Thursday nights on In Touch with that guy in the Apple T-shirts show, In Touch with iOS. You can find me. Yeah. You can find me Thursday and Friday on that guy in the blue hoodies T-shirt, or T-shirt shows the Big and Mac shows on the British Tech Network. And of course, you can find me here making trouble in my suits.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you. Ms. Guimont, if Ben puts a tux on, will you go with him to the prom?
I don't think
know why
Mr.
he
Kelly
needed-
would like that.
I don't know why he needed you to ask, but yeah, probably.
Kelly, where can we find you?
Depends on the offer. I mean, I'd have to get some parameters, but see.
It's prom.
I mean, it's prom. Yeah. Generally, you can find me here doing my very best to make sure we stay nowhere near the topic. You can occasionally find me doing a slightly less good job of that over on In Touch with iOS with David Ginsburg. I have been known to pop up and hassle Jeff and Ben Roethig over on the BTN shows occasionally from the Peanut Gallery. So you can sometimes find me there. You can also find me on Mastodon, where I am verso at mastodon.social. And once Marvel gets their poop in a group and starts releasing Marvel shows regularly again, you can find me over on the Incomparable talking on I Want My MCU TV about the Marvel television shows, and occasionally over on the Incomparable talking about some of the other stuff that I have opinions about. So there you go.
Thank you, Kelly. Good to have you. Mark Fuccio, thank you so much for your insights. Where can folks connect with you?
Well, if they're in the Valley, I'm about 3 miles radius from the Apple spaceship headquarters. Or online, you can find me at X, formerly known as Twitter, at Mark Fuccio, MarkFuccio, all lowercase, all one word.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Jeff Gamet, I understand there was a small problem during the recording. That
holy forking shirt balls!
One of your pieces of sound gear was under attack.
I need to see it with the lights turned on, but I fear that my sound bar has serious battle damage right now. When I disappeared, when my camera went blank, it's because I needed to turn that off and the microphone so you wouldn't see and hear me fly out of my chair yelling in a demon voice at the cat who was scratching the living crap out of the sound bar. Oh my! Holy
okay, well,
anyhow,
come back next week and give us a report.
Yes, I'll give you an update next week. All right. So when I'm not channeling my inner good place, you can find me on the socials as J Gamet. I'm most active right now on Mastodon and Instagram, but I'm on basically all of them. Let's see. Then for shows, Chuck, you let me show up here all the time on MacVoices Live, and I do appreciate that. And then Dave, you let me keep showing up on In Touch with iOS, and I appreciate that too. And then for some reason, the British Tech Network keeps letting me be the interim host for the Big Show and the Mac Show. So that's on Thursdays and Fridays. And Brian Chaffin and I do the Context Machine. Also, earlier today, as we record, I did Mac Geek Gab with Dave Hamilton, and we did our reactions to the keynote. So if you want to have more thoughts from a more tech standpoint, just the two of us chatting, there you go. Check out Mac Geek Gab. And I believe Dave already has that episode out and live.
He does.
Oh, wow. There you go. Go check it out.
Great. Definitely. Yeah. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Hope the soundbar makes it. Eric Bolden, thank you for being here. But, there was one thing that you put in our private chat that I think you really should mention. One of the tests of the new iPhone will be the weight test that you were referring to.
Oh, it's not after dark,
That's okay. You put it in before. I think it's only fair.
So with the iPhone 14 Pro Max, if you put it in the pocket of your pajamas and then go walking down the hall, you have to have two hands because you have to have one hand to hold your pajamas up. So I want to test the new iPhone 15 Pro Max. So I'm figuring out, put on a pair of pajama pants, go into the Apple store, talk to somebody about, can I just put this in my pants and walk around the store? And if I'm fully embarrassed, that will not be the phone for me.
I want the video live stream of this.
I want to see that.
I need someone to shoot that for the Vision Pro in the spatial video whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anyone should be watching that, but
Oh, there's an
Instead, I
OnlyFans
was gonna
that would
watch
pay
it.
for it.
Just to know it exists.
or only Jeff's.
Yeah, we'll put it on only Jeff's.
It'll go on only
Oh.
Jeff's, I'm sure.
Onlytech.com.
But Eric, I kind of feel like this is a perfect reason you should buy the Apple Watch, so that with one hand you're holding your pajamas up, with the other one you can answer your phone. Just tap and answer the phone.
Now I've got this image in my head of Eric running down the hall in the middle of the night, like run shuffling, holding up his pajamas, and at the same time going, ah.
Eric, where can folks find you so they can sign up for the video in your OnlyFans?
Don't give your address.
Well, right now, yay, Bolden at techhub.social. And one of these weeks, I'll remember to write down my other addresses because they're all sitting in my phone. But since I'm using my phone as a camera, I can't, yeah. So I will add more social media accounts in the future. What's the later this year? Yes.
Very on brand. Thank you, Eric. Web Bixby, thanks for being here. You and your 2 iPhones and 2 iPhone 15s to be. Where can folks find you?
Like Eric said, I got a whole list of them here, but I'm going to stick with on X. At Web Bixby at X is probably the easiest way to find me, and that's when I look at the most. So I'm trying to get to the Mastodon thing, Jeff. I'm really trying. I'm trying really hard. And Ben, if you wear a tuxedo, I'm going to think you're going to seat me to a very nice table. So.
There is no try, only do.
You're saying that this isn't a nice table, Web?
Oh man. Brian Flanigan-Arthurs, thank you for being here. What's the best way for folks to connect with you?
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me. A few places to find me. Mastodon, Brian8944 at mastodon.cloud. Also using Brian8944 on Spoutable and Blue Sky, and also on X.
Excellent. Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Jim Rea, thank you so much for being here. Where can folks find you?
You can't find me. I'm on the run. Don't even try to follow me.
Jim Rea is starring in the remake of The Invisible Man.
Okay, you can do that Mastodon thing. ProView Jim at techhub.social, and it's ProView is spelled PROVUE.
Great. Thank you, Jim. Good to have you. Still awake. I'm kind of amazed, but I'm impressed. But Patrice Brend'Amour, thank you so much for staying up late and joining us. This was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah. How can I be asleep at this time?
Yeah. But you will be 30 seconds after we hang up the show.
Probably, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Where can we find you?
Well, you can find me with some of the other delinquents here on the panel, on the British Tech Network, on the Mac Show, and on the Big Show. Remember, this Friday, we're going to reveal our keynote poker and see how wrong we were once again this time. And yeah, the results are quite interesting, I can tell you that. You can find out everything I'm doing, all the social media links. I'm not on X. I'm just going to mention that. But all the social media links, the projects, the podcast, literally everything on my website, thepatrice.com. And if you are looking for a Mastodon server, I have my own techhangout.social. And if you know me and you want to join us there, hit me up and I'll send you an invite. It's invite only. So there's that.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much. It's great to have you as always, Patrice. You're always welcome.
I know.
Last but absolutely not least, David Ginsburg. Thank you so much, David, my partner in pre-ordering the iPhones.
Yes.
Where can folks connect with you?
You can. Thank you, Chuck, for having me. You can find me at In Touch with iOS at intouchwithios.com. We will also be doing a nice discussion this coming Thursday. But before I don't know if it releases before or after, but come check us out there. YouTube channel is youtube.com/intouchwithios. I'm on Mastodon at DaveG65, and then that's how you can find me. Thanks.
Right. Thanks, David. I want to say thank you to the chat room. Unfortunately, I was a little busy herding this group of cats, and I wasn't able to follow everything, but they were very prolific in their discussions of phones and the Green Initiative and everything. So great job, guys. Thank you for a great conversation. Looks like you were entertaining yourselves in there. Hey, this is Mac Voices Live. We do this every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, whatever time that is, wherever you are.
Whether Chuck likes it or not.
Yeah, really. At youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. So come on in and be in the chat room, have some fun with us. As I said before, in case you're wondering, I'm going to forego some of the things we usually put in, some of the niceties, to make sure we get these shows out for you as quickly as possible. So hopefully we can help you make your purchasing decisions and push Apple stock back up. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching.
Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.